Yes, I'm afraid it's true, and I'm really sorry. After 13 years of making Wheeler Dealers, I'm now going to be leaving the show.
One of my brother passed away unfortunately. So you know one of my brothers is no longer with us. But fortunately we were born in Brixton, born and be in Brixton. We were all urchins growing up. We've all grown up, every one of us has grown up to be aerially good, genuine, loving, caring, kind person. No, none of us have grown up on the wrong side of tracks. Mike Brewer became a familiar face alongside his partner Ed China on Wheeler Dealers. Together, they searched for cars worth saving, and restored them for passionate drivers. Viewers admired Mike's expertise. He understood the car market inside out, knew how to spot hidden value, and had a knack for making fair deals. But success brought changes that steered his future in unexpected ways. From his controversial split with Ed China to getting scammed out of a large sum of money, a lot has happened off camera. So, join us as we discuss what really happened to Mike Brewer. I've really got my heart set on Findingus, a tasty M2 Jaguar. The problem is the gulf between the cars that are available out there. There's some cars between £3,000 and £4,000, but they're absolute basket cases needing tons off work. And at the other end of the spectrum, there's cars for up to £25,000 that are completely restored. Wheeler Dealers premiered in 2003 with Mike Brewer at the helm, sourcing and purchasing cars that still had a chance in the road. Right beside him was Ed China, the mechanic who restored them and made every repair look easy. On the show, the duo worked with a clear mission: bring each car back to life and prove it still had value. Their teamwork set the tone of the show and gave viewers something to look forward to with every episode. No doubt Ed won the hearts of viewers with his skills. He was the mechanic who turned the garage into a place where anything broken could work again. In no time, the pair built a reputation that traveled through the car world. Fans liked the chemistry between them. They liked seeing cars that looked too far gone become useful again. It did not matter if the car was a cheap daily driver or something old and rare. Mike and Ed treated every build with care. As the seasons went on, Wheeler Dealers became a global hit. The production team grew and locations changed. The team moved their work to the United States in search of more opportunities and more cars to restore. With that, new challenges arose, budgets increased, and the work became more demanding. Basically, the simple format turned into something much bigger, and that growth not only brought success but also brought pressure. Behind the scenes, tension started building up slowly. After 13 seasons together, Ed China dropped the bombshell. He was leaving the show. Fans were shocked and the news traveled fast. According to Ed, the reason he was leaving the show was that they disagreed with the changes happening in production. He felt the mechanical work in the garage was being reduced. As a mechanic, he believed repairs should remain the sole focus of the show and did not want key steps removed from the screen to save time. Mike, on the other hand, saw the situation from a different angle. He wanted to keep the show running even while changes were being made. He believed that adapting was necessary for Wheeler Dealers to survive. Those different views created a strain that could not be repaired. Following Ed's departure, Wheeler Dealers introduced Ant Anstead as the new mechanic working with Mike. Ant arrived with his own style, bringing fresh energy and a new workshop setup. The episodes that followed saw Ant tackle on the repairs while Mike did his thing. Ant's arrival gave the show a new rhythm and allowed it to stretch into new markets. Viewers watched builds that moved faster and included modern performance upgrades alongside traditional restoration. The dynamic between Mike and Ant became its own chapter in the story of Wheeler Dealers. However, it seems some fans were still not comfortable with Ed moving on from the show. While many loyal fans accepted it as a normal thing in the industry, some fans, however, wanted someone to blame for Ed's exit. In no time, the attention turned toward Mike, the man who stood beside Ed for many years on the show. It did not matter that both men had been part of the success. It did not matter how many cars they saved from the scrapyard. In the eyes of a loud part of the audience, Mike became the problem. You see, viewers did not know what happened behind the scenes. They only saw the split. They thought Mike pushed Ed away. The internet turned those guesses into claims, and those claims became fuel for anger. To make things worse, people started targeting Mike directly. They sent messages filled with words no one deserves to hear. The attack spread to his family, too. His wife found herself dragged into something she had no part in. His daughter also saw the backlash. It became clear this was no longer about the show. It was now a full-blown attack on Mike and anyone connected to him. While this was going on, the show continued. New builds moved through the workshop and new faces appeared on screen. Mike kept doing the work he always did, but the noise outside the set did not go away quickly. Every new season raised the same question. Every announcement brought the same criticism: whatever happened with Ed China remained attached to Mike's name. That period forced him to rethink how he handled public attention. However, his passion for cars never changed. He kept buying, selling, and staying active in the trade. Amidst all these, some fans stood with him. They liked the show with or without Ed. They appreciated the builds and believed the show deserved to continue. They knew Mike helped keep it alive. For them, the change was simply part of television. People move on. What matters most is that the show remains strong. Mike leaned on those supporters every time the noise became too loud. For Mike, the period after the split brought challenges he never imagined. It also revealed how strong he could be when everything around him seemed taut. No doubt Mike has seen it all, from Ed leaving to being subjected to abuse online, but nothing hit harder than the burnout that came from working non-stop. You see, the setting on Wheeler Dealers is full of high energy. The little garage that once handled a couple of projects has now turned into a full-scale production with tight deadlines. Basically, the gear has changed, but the effort stayed the same. The effort, however, began to take a heavy toll on Mike. He spent thousands of hours moving across countries, airports, and hotels. He traded sleep for the next episode. Days that began with new projects and hopeful talks ended in time zone changes, red eyes, and the same task of being ready for the camera the next morning. What seemed glamorous on screen became a grind in real life. In an interview, he revealed his daughter had turned 22 and he had been home for only a handful of her birthdays. She had grown up seeing her father on screen, but rarely in person. While cameras rolled and deals sold, he found himself missing family moments he could not get back. His days no longer felt like the wild ride fans expected, they felt like one long sequence of deadlines, flights, and fix-ups. The personal cost started to outpace the victories. Although he held the show together with strength and a smile, his smile during the show masked a different truth. Every time he stepped in front of the camera, he had to look sharp, sound clear, and be ready to pull off the deal. Backstage, he battled exhaustion and absence. He watched other families celebrate while his own moved on without him. At some point, the work stopped being a journey and became a fight for survival. He kept going through entire years where he slept in his own bed less than 10 times. The cars kept coming and the destinations kept changing, but the backstage pressure stayed constant. The burnout built up quietly. At first, he brushed it off as part of the job. Then it became clear that the long days were no longer temporary. They were the new normal. He realized that years had passed without him being around the people who mattered most. He realized that showing cars at their best did not mean everything else was fine. He began to see that he too needed repair, just like the vehicles he once saved. Mike looked back and understood how far he had pushed himself. The show gave him a career that many dream of. It gave him recognition in the car world and changed his life forever. But the heavy workload also changed who he was as a person. It revealed what a high price looks like when passion becomes constant pressure. Burnout is not always evident. Sometimes it is the realization that life moved forward without you. For Mike, that moment arrived after years of running at full speed. He now knows the value of balance. He knows that no success is worth losing the time you should have spent with the people you love. If you have been an avid follower of Mike and Wheeler Dealers, you would agree that he has spent his life helping buyers avoid bad deals. He has shown viewers how to spot a scam, how to protect their money, and how to walk away when something does not feel right. But even he found out that no one is completely safe in the car trade. Not long ago, he revealed that he had been scammed. The situation shocked him, his business partner, and his customers because he had followed every rule and still ended up on Thelosing's side. The car in question was a white VW Golf 7 Malawi in Kwacha's GTD. His company, Automotive, had listed it for a fair price, just over £10,000 for a car in good condition. The listing gathered interest quickly. Many people contacted the dealership and asked about availability. That told Mike they had priced it correctly. It did not take long for a buyer to call and say he wanted the car straight away. He did not even want to come down to the dealership himself. He arranged for a courier to collect it instead. While this should have been suspicious to Mike, he had experienced similar scenarios before. Buyers often lived far away and needed someone to collect their vehicle. As long as the checks passed, there was no reason to refuse the sale. That is exactly what the team did. They checked the driving license. The details looked legitimate. They checked the bank information. It matched up with the invoice. Everything appeared normal. So, the sale was confirmed. The courier took the car from the dealership yard and drove away. At that point, Mike believed the deal was finished, but the real story was only starting. Soon after, the bank contacted him. They explained that the person whose card was used for the purchase had contested the payment. He claimed he did not buy a car from Automotive. He did not even know the dealership existed. His identity and bank details had been stolen and used to commit fraud. That meant the buyer, Mike, thought he was dealing with never existed. Someone had used another person's identity to take the Golf and disappear. The money that appeared cleared for the sale was now being reversed. The bank wanted to refund the real owner of the card. That left Mike and his business with a painful result. The car was gone, the money was gone, and so was the fraudster. For a dealership, that is the worst possible outcome. You lose the asset and the payment. There is no return, nor recovery, and no apology coming. The person whose details were stolen became a victim, too. They had bills on their statement that they did not recognize. They demanded answers, and their bank supported them. Meanwhile, the thief moved on to the next scam. Mike was angry because he had done everything right. The checks were carried out. The documents matched. The steps the industry instructs dealers to take were followed carefully. Yet, none of those systems could protect the business from a criminal who knew exactly how to fool them. The lesson hit hard. It showed how the car trade has changed. Fraud no longer hides in back alley deals alone. It now lives behind enticing paperwork and smooth communication. The situation forced Mike to speak up. He warned his audience and customers to stay alert. If someone like him with decades of knowledge can be caught off guard, then anyone can. However, the scam was only a tiny fraction of the challenges Mike had faced. In 2010, Mike Brewer stepped away from the comfort of dealerships and workshops to take on a very different challenge. He agreed to host Frontline Battle Machines, a series that took him deep into war-torn Afghanistan. This time he was not evaluating a weekend project car or a classic machine ready for a second chance. He was there to seed vehicles that soldiers trusted with their lives in one of the most dangerous places on Earth. From the moment he arrived, Mike saw the reality of what these machines faced every day. He saw armored trucks rolling through dusty terrain filled with hidden explosives, helicopters that landed in places where the threat was always close by. Engines that never rested because the missions never stopped. The troops depended on these machines to bring them home safely, and every flaw could be a serious risk. Mike listened closely as the soldiers explained the limits and challenges of their equipment. He wanted to understand everything because here engineering was the difference between life and death. The soldiers respected the fact that Mike came all the way from home to witness their daily struggle, most people only read quick reports on the news. Mike wanted to stand where they stood and see the truth for himself. He asked how each vehicle performed under pressure. He asked what would make